Scott Van Pelt, the popular anchor at SportsCenter. He joins us on the program. Good morning. Is that your study that you're joining me from, Scott?
It's actually Otis the dog's room, and he just lets me sit here mostly. If he gets upset, he'll let me know. But yeah, this is just a little sunny little wing of the home. Yes.
Yeah, looks like a study is what that would be. Does the
Dan,
dog?
do you think I study? Do I seem like a man who studies?
No. Does your dog do any tricks, Scott?
No, he just sits there. He lounges in the sun, and he listen. He's 9.5. He's been through some stuff, man. He's just going to hang out, and that's what we're good with that.
How are you celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the day the night the sports world died?
I'm going to watch games, and I'm going to show highlights of games. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's so surreal, Dan, to remember. And you're one of the few people who truly could appreciate how surreal it is when you go upstairs and sit down to prepare to do what in our business is called a fill, right? In between the Nuggets and the Mavericks and the Pelicans and the Kings. You go up to fill, and then there's not a fill, there's a show, because they're not playing, everything's stopped, and you're just kind of making it up as you go. It was astounding, and it's wild to remember it. And I truly will just celebrate by being able to go in tonight and do all these games and be thankful that we have sports to watch and to discuss.
A lot of times we would go to SportsCenter and you're not dressed to go on the air because the show was going to be a couple hours later. You might have a suit on, or you're not tie your tie, you don't have makeup on, you're not ready to go on the air. And then all of a sudden, when do you get the heads up? You got to go on the air as soon as possible.
Well, thankfully that evening I was doing the half times, because on Wednesdays, typically I would be doing the half times of the NBA games and then whatever fill there was in the middle. And then we'd come on after the last game. So for years, Dan, I would just I'd dress for comfort, right? And I'd be wearing whatever around the office. But I realized that I just would forever be wasting time. And then I would be Berman. It would be 10:59:50. And I'd be sprinting in without a mic on because I wasn't ready. So not long ago, I just decided, the hell with it. I'm going to wear a suit when I show up. And particularly on a night like that, where I was going to be on early anyway. So thankfully, that part of it was done. I was dressed to work. I just didn't know the work I was going to be asked to do.
What were you told in your ear as you're filling and you're out there and you're a man on an island? How are you getting your information?
Well, when it really, with the breaking news part about the season going away, that was the NBA announces it, and Woj just tweeting stuff out, and we just went up there and went on with him. In this instance, it's Dave Pasch and Richard Jefferson. They're in Sacramento, and we're waiting for the nightcap game. And then there's word that Courtney Kirkland, the official, had officiated the Utah game, and the Pelicans are like, well, we're not playing. And it's like in my ear, my producer Marco Alfanderi saying, we're hearing that the Pelicans aren't going to play. And I'm thinking, well, that doesn't sound good. And I'm thinking, I mean, you're processing this in real time. You've been in that chair so many times. You know immediately, oh, I guess we're just going to be on here. Well, we don't have a rundown because we didn't have a show. We were on after that game. So in my ear, they're saying, okay, I think Dave and Richard they're gonna fill for a minute, and then they're gonna come to us. And panic isn't something that sets in often, but in that moment, they're going to come to us to do what? and then you've been in that again. There's so few people that truly could get what that moment is. You just go into, okay, this is true. I think your audience understands, right? They're going to come along with you. They know that this isn't the plan. And you go to Woj, and then you go to Royce Young, who's in Oklahoma City, where the Jazz are still in the locker room. And you go to Malika, who's in New York City, and she's talking to players all around the league. And you just kind of ping pong back and forth. But what was crazy, if it's you and Keith, when Keith's talking, your producer can talk to you. But when it's just you, I don't have anywhere to go. I can't kind of lay out and let them just say, hold on, America, I need to find out what the bleep I'm doing here. Give me a second. You're just kind of, and at one point we threw to some sound of Mark Cuban. And that was the only time in the entire time we were on where I don't know what Mark Cuban said. He could have said anything. He could have declared war on Chile. I could have said anything. I didn't hear a word because at that point I'm listening to Marco. He's like, all right, here's what we've got. And you're just feverishly scribbling things down. But looking back on it, the thing that our producer, because we just did a podcast where we kind of pieced this all together. Our producer, who did an amazing job that night, said the thing he's proud of is that we were pretty measured. We kind of kept it together. And that night, I think we as a group got praised for not being hysterical. And so yay for that. But I mean, those aren't cards you expect to play ever. And that's what happened.
And nobody's a COVID expert back then. We're just learning about it. Like, we don't think anything about a game being canceled now. But back then, wait a minute, they're not going to play? Wait, what's that mean? And then contact tracing. Like, what's all of this mean? And then you have to do a Cliff Notes version of, I need to know everything about COVID as soon as possible.
Without question. And I don't want to, we understand how serious this is, and has been, right? Okay. No question. But in mid-March of 2020, knowing as little as we knew, and with testing taking as long as it did, like you couldn't go, I've gone and gotten rapid tested, they tell you 5 minutes later, yay or nay. Well, then we didn't know how long it would take. And I think there was this true fear then, if you got it, well, maybe you're in big trouble. And, you picture like a contagion, right? Like I imagine the Jazz with hazmat suit people and helicopters hovering overhead and the military outside saying, don't let the Jazz leave. Well, that wasn't what it was, but we didn't really know, did we? And so it was definitely a frightening time. It felt inevitable that someone in sports would get it. But you know what's fascinating, Dan, is that truly that was the moment that everything pivoted in our country. The minute that sports stopped being played is the minute everyone was like, all right, well, we're not doing this anymore. And we just sort of stopped for a bit.
Yeah, that's when I think it hit people how serious COVID was. There's no sports. Like, it almost took that for people to understand, boy, this is really important. But, when you work late at night, you count on those highlights.
Yes, you do.
So you get a little, it's a little dry. When we're
a little,
yeah.
We did, Dan, from that night until July, when we finally mercifully took a bit of time away, which was our schedule. We're supposed to take some time off after the NBA Finals and the beginning of free agency. Well, from March 11th until early July, we did SportsCenter every night, and there were no sports. And thank God for The Last Dance and the Jordan doc, which we could build around. Thank God for Zoom calls. I've talked, as I know you have, I've talked to athletes on their couch, in their kitchen, in their cars. People, it's funny. It works a lot better these days. You say, hey, can you come on the show? I can't get to a studio. You have a studio in your pocket. Just fire up FaceTime, man. You can come on with us. We figured it out. But it was, look, you and I know both well that doing highlights, sitting around watching games, it's stealing money, okay? But for that 4-month time, I'd like to think whatever money I stole, I paid back. I'm good with the cosmos, man. I'm good with the world. Our bill is even because those 4 months were, really, really challenging.
Scott Van Pelt from the Mothership joining us on the program. Who came up with Senior Night?
Well, it was a collaborative. The night after Thursday, right? Wednesday, not good. Thursday, we find out no tournament. And after our show meeting, we sit down as a group in this big conference room. You were there when you came back that great night. Our group, and we got a great group, and we sit, as you do, and we sit around and I'm like, what are we going to do? Because this is going to suck. All right. But what can we do to do something positive? And so I started thinking out loud about the idea of just shine a light on people that didn't get a chance to say goodbye. Well, I get home that night and there's this note from a group in social that said, we've been talking about this idea. And Jimmy Pitaro, our boss, president of ESPN, independent of all of us, 3 different groups of people, all were thinking along the same lines. And so I sent out a tweet and I said, here's what we want to do. We want to tip our caps to the people who didn't get that chance. And there was this one kid in Illinois there was a picture that just really got me thinking about it, because he was a game away from, he and his team are a game away from the state finals, and they canceled it. And he's sitting alone in a gym at midcourt. And I'm thinking, can you imagine that? And I couldn't. And so out of a lot of people just sort of kicking around an idea, we said, share with us your stories. And it was a most amazing thing. Tens of thousands of people from all over the country, their high school girls basketball team and boys and track and hockey and baseball and lacrosse and on and on and on. And we shared as many of those stories as we could. And what's really cool, and we're going to do it this week, is we're going to revisit that, because already we're getting notes from the Jones high school girls basketball team in Oklahoma. They made it last year. They didn't get to play. They made it again. So they're back. And this year we're going to play. And it's really cool. Like for the kids that moved on, they didn't get it. But for those communities and the people who maybe had it cut short last year, they're going to get to run it back this year. So to me, it'll be a fun way to revisit that. But it was really gratifying. It was gratifying because this, Dan. Like SportsCenter's not the end all be all, and ESPN's not the only thing in the world, but it's a pretty bright light and it's a pretty loud mic. And when you talk into that mic, people hear you all around the country. And when those young people felt like they were seen and their accomplishments were being recognized, it mattered. And to be the person to share that really, really was gratifying.
And we keep talking about this new normal. I don't know what the new normal is. I don't know if, just being able to go to a game. That simple pleasure is not so simple, but I don't know what that feeling is going to be like. I haven't been on a plane in over a year.
Wow.
I haven't gone anywhere. I haven't done anything. I'm still waiting to get the vaccine. But there's part of me as just a fan that I think I took, I was numb to it, that we get to go to any game we want and we get press passes. And I just want to go to a game and sit and have a beer and watch a game with other people.
I want to hear them. That's what I want. I miss the sound. There's nothing like the sound. And I'm with you. What's wild is when you see an old, like watching like a video of an old playoff game and say like Yankee Stadium, like old Yankee Stadium. It looks like there are 400,000 people, right? It's just like, God, look at all those people. And you miss that. You miss being part of the organic of what that is, and to be part of the roar, or to hear it, and it just in the building or in a stadium. So I'm with you. I look forward to that, and I'm hopeful, man. I hope you get the shot soon. My mom got hers soon. As soon as we can get ours, we'll get them. And it feels like things are easing. You don't get reckless here, but I do feel like truly a year afterwards. I never imagined then we'd be a year in, having to deal with it. But do you share that? Do you share the optimism that sounds really corny, but like the better day is almost here?
It feels like the home stretch, but I don't know. It's a cautionary tale, and every time it's two steps forward, and then it feels like it's two steps back. And now maybe it's two steps forward, one step back. I want to take two steps forward and take two more steps forward after that. Like that's
Amen.
That's what I want. And you know what I don't miss, Scott?
What?
The gallery at a golf tournament. I did not miss hearing some idiot yell out, "Get in the hole" at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. So one of the few benefits of COVID.
Mashed potatoes! Yeah. Mashed potatoes!
Baba Booey! I did not miss that at all. And so that's one of the few benefits of COVID was I didn't hear the gallery.
Yeah, but you know what? If the trade-off is that you get to go to a game, you just tune out the guy that's 12 beers in screaming, "Get in the hole." He's like, "Hey, buddy, it's like a 480-yard par four. That's a little ambitious."
Well,
okay?
It is DeChambeau, so you can say, "Get in the hole."
Well played. Well played.
By the way, Otis nailed this interview. Your dog was
he's not as always. That's his resting posture, so he's good.
I work with people at SportsCenter, coordinating producers who were about as active as Otis was,
and about as bright. Right?
Wow! You have to show up today. I don't.
Nah, I was talking about your coordinating producers.
No, I don't have I have uncoordinated producers. So
got a great group, and it's always good to be with you guys, Dan.
thank you, Van Peasy. Great to talk to you, buddy. Thank you.
You will. Stay safe.
Scott Van Pelt, SportsCenter anchor.